I did look it up earlier. I did.
You're missing out on amazing opportunities because of your LinkedIn profile.
Got it.
5 biggest profile mistakes, real
Oh,
examples, quick tweaks.
it's all coming back to me.
It's
So
all
welcome
coming
anybody
back. It's all
listening.
coming back to her now.
By the way, epic Celine Dion video. If anybody hasn't seen it, is watching. So, I shouldn't say. I don't know if anybody's.
We've got
the
at least one viewer live, and he's right
Oh,
here.
okay. Oh, I was like, we do. Like, okay, let me go in the chat and tell. Yeah, like we should just do a whole outtake of like the first 10 minutes of our um like just random stuff that we talk about. This is what you can catch. Um, so I know it's live on. I know my YouTube went live because I got the notification.
Meryl's here. Yay.
Yay! Hey Meryl, missed
Missed you
you.
last week.
I know. And I haven't been on at all this week because I just got back from. We are live. Anyone joining us? Ooh. And there's
Hey, Sandra.
Sandra. Sandra. I want to mispronounce Sandra's name. Okay. Okay. So, you know what? We're just going to get started. And actually, I want to pull that back up. Shell did a post on it, so I can.
I mean, I did a post of your post.
Yes, so I can go the long way around to get to the event to keep track of messaging. So why would I do it the easy way? That's crazy. And yes,
Kidding. She's
maybe we
kidding,
should just
folks.
maybe we should just do an outtake of
Just a
this
whole
is
hour of
LinkedIn one.
outtakes.
A whole hour of outtakes. Just put them on a put it, we have the well, it says we have 4 people. I guess I'm one of them too because I'm on my phone. So okay, so let me preface this. I spent I flew to Massachusetts on Saturday morning, saw my daughter in her play, spent basically 24 hours, and then she ended her. She had 2 shows that night. Last show gets done like 10:30 at night. She's like, "So, are we going to go out and hang out afterwards?" Now, my daughter's 22, and this is my time to spend with her. So, I literally am like, "Yeah, sure, I can do it."
She wanted to hang out with you. Gotta take her up on it while that's.
Right. Well, hanging out also meant like we're going to go with a bunch of people to Applebee's because she lives in a small college town. So it kind of, there's only a handful of things that are open past like midnight. And so we went to Applebee's. By now it's like 12 o'clock. Okay. By 12, I am way past in bed. Okay. Let alone, and I wasn't like eating. Like she's like, no. She's like, Mom, if we come here at 9, after 9, you get half price appetizers. Great
Is
to know.
that's still a thing?
Apparently it's still a thing, and
Okay.
and to a college age person, fried food at midnight, and back in the day, 100% totally get it, would be on board. Yeah, my 50-year-old ass, apologize for any of y'all weren't offended. Yeah, can't hang with the 22-year-old. So then I fly back to Maryland, come home, change my clothes, and then I start my like basically 3.5 day conference. So that's where I've been. I've been in a 3.5 day conference, learning all sorts of things, also learning a ton of AI stuff. So super excited about that. And
Hey,
Christy's here, so yeah, so that's where I've been. Shell, what? I haven't even talked to you. Like literally today was the first day I've even
I
talked to
know. I was like,
you.
I'm missing my Melanies the last few
I
days, and
know.
it's been really sad that both of you have been not on LinkedIn.
Yes, it's been yeah. I'm in sincerely just in brain dump mode right now of like downloading all this information. So,
I mean,
yeah. So
you shared that tool with me earlier, and I was like, "Ooh, another AI tool for me to go down the rabbit hole with." And it's Google based, so I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take some time, not right this second, to play around with it." Uh, I did a little bit, but only like 15 minutes worth. But yeah, I don't need that productive procrastination rabbit hole today. Um, Instead, I was actively proactive uh, and productive on my LinkedIn profile, which we're going to talk about other people's profiles tonight too. But like, it leans into that. You may notice that I've updated a few things, the banner and headline and about section included. Uh, and yeah, it's been what have I that's really like while I was missing my Melanie is I that's what I've been up to is just like streamlining things and using AI, continuing from last week's conversation to do that a little bit more effectively and efficiently. Um I as you've probably already heard me talk about like from last week, and I'll only talk about this for a second, I promise. Um we were talking about the ways that we use AI, and you guys know I use Gemini, not ChatGPT. So you may have seen that I you prompted Gemini based on some of the trends that have been happening to create a Funko Pop of myself because I didn't feel like doing an action figure like everybody else, and Funko Pops are more my vibe. You can't see them, but do have a few behind me. And I really wish I do have a pom pom,
oh
Jay.
my gosh,
I do have a pom pom.
that's like
So
teasing
there's
her.
pom poms in that Funko. I made sure of it. That's part of my LinkedIn banner refresh from today as well. But I also from Lewis Butterfield's recent posts, he was talking about and I will giggle probably internally as I say this. He has this FART framework for how to create better, more aligned content. And he was talking about it in a post a day or two ago. You can go look it up, or I'll reference it here in the chat in a little bit. Um, and then he actually gave an AI prompt in the comments of how to make more related content. And I was like, okay, well, let me at least test it out. Maybe not for content, but like maybe I can apply it in other ways. So I did. I put it into Gemini instead of ChatGPT. And one of the things that he asks it to like pull from is like an active client transcript, like from a call. So I pulled a few. I didn't just use one because I'm an overachiever. I pulled a few and I had it analyze the transcripts, and then it pulled out the voice of my ideal client and it started generating things. And I was like, okay, well, I can use this for content, or I could take it a step further and help it refine my profile a little bit more now that you've got my ideal client voice even more. And then I synced it with the things that I already had been tracking about my ideal client and who I wanted to engage more with. And I've merged the two. I've updated my 5 Ws. Like I took his prompt to heart and went all in to like do things better and more effectively. So that's what I've been up to this week in between client calls. And yeah, that's why I'm excited to talk to you guys more about AI, and also not that's not even tonight's topic, but also like the profile and how I used it to improve mine.
So yeah, this wasn't going to be an AI conversation.
No, I was just
We're
continuing from
definitely
last week.
no, we're definitely, and we're going to have. I am going to see if my friend Brendan Wright can join us in a couple of weeks. So just to give everybody an FYI, we're not going to be here next week because I have my filming. I feel like I always sound so like pompous when I'm like my filming, like whatever. But I have my
She's
production
got
for
a whole
my
team, guys.
I do have a whole team. It's like super crazy, but it really is great. I'm like the Muslim, like, yeah, whatever you want. I'm like, it's okay. Um, but so I have my filming Thursday of next week, and it's 8 hours of video production. And for the girl that, this is Carmen's way of saying, oh, you really don't like video? Let's just let's get you hired to where you have to do 4 courses all on video and train people. How about that? That's Karma's way of saying, oh, we're going to make you like video. And all of this
And
ultimately,
once Danny comes into TLB, you'll learn even more.
right. And so, and all of this, and I was at a conference or some professional development symposium for coaches, career thought leaders, and I learned a lot. I mean, I learned so much to really be able to just really being able to learn how to be a better coach, but also ways to grow my business, which I'm super excited about, but also things that we can do for LinkedIn Rockstar Academy, which isn't going away, folks. It is coming. We're going to be sharing that once we get Melanie through the month of April, basically. Yes, I just referred to myself in third person. But on the AI note, I learned like mind blowing AI stuff, like just like whole prompts, whole like the instructors were amazing. They literally just gave us this information, but also how to find your voice. Like for example, and I don't want to go woohoo on somebody or some people, but some people might appreciate it. Like I love astrology. I absolutely do. I am a Cancer through and through, in every single way, shape, and form of how it describes a Cancer. But even going to the extent of like, hey, help me to find my voice, help me to find like what is my style, using your astrology sign, using putting in as much information for these whether you use Gemini, whether you use Chat GPT, or some of the other, those are probably the 2 best tools in terms of what I call, creating content. And content can also be used for your LinkedIn profile. And again, this is not to say that we need to not be ethical. We still need to be ethical. We need to be open. We need to be very transparent. And want being able to be transparent in that. One of the tools that I shared today was, and I learned this from Denise Bittler, is a thing called Notebook LM. It's attached to Google. All you need is a Google account. It's free. There's some download restrictions, but basically you can take a word, you can take a document, and they have this feature where you basically turns it into, I guess, like a mini podcast. I kind of call it an audio book. Has 2 speakers, a man and a woman. You can't change the voices. So, I mean, because it's still a very new tool. But you guys can go check out my post. If you saw it, you can click on the video. You can listen. So basically, I just took the overview of what my newsletter is because I did not write a newsletter this week. That was not going to happen. And I put all I did literally was just put the link in, and it on its first try generated this. And I was just honestly playing around last night, because like I said, my brain is an overload of information. So yes, I met Soyik. I met him on at the symposium as well, and so that was lovely. He's partnered with Charlotte Taylor, who's my career coach, is on call, and one of my co-hosts there. So yeah, it was just an amazing. It was my very first professional development opportunity I've ever attended, or invested in myself. So, but yeah, let's kind of tie all this back into the profile. And I think I had certain content created, or you know prompts around, like, what are the 5 mistakes you're making on your LinkedIn profile. And I think there's obvious ones that we talk about kind of all the time. um, I think we could both probably just do this one together. So no picture, no banner, and I am calling that that is an absolute missed opportunity. Um, no information filled in, whether it's your about section, your work experience. These are all missed opportunities. So, and whether you're that person, that sounded horrible. So if you're that person, you're welcome here. Okay, I'm going to make it sound more more nice. If you're in that boat, how about that?
Here's
Or
why you're missing out on
here's
opportunities
what,
if
yeah,
you don't have those things yet.
but there's even more. It's getting into going beyond somewhat of those things of what I call the basics and diving even deeper into them. So I think we can definitely kind of touch on that. Where do you want to dive in? Shell, I'm just going to let you. And Roy's not here tonight, obviously. I mean, we're not ignoring him, but he couldn't be with us today. So it'll be a while before the three of us are back together.
He's in his car somewhere, I think.
He's somewhere in Australia. That's all I can tell you.
Uh, where do I want to go? So, are you asking me to add in some of the other mistakes that I think there, or do you want to keep going with the banner, the profile picture, and the
let's
headline, things like that?
well, let's and here's the thing, guys, drop your questions. Like, even if you guys have been watching for quite some time, which we love our super fans. Thank you so much. Yes, I just appointed them super fans. But even if you have a
I know
question about your profile, we want to be able to help you. Like, we truly do want to be able to help you. Like, how do I do this in my profile? How do I take it to the next level? We want to be able to see you, those individuals really being you, those are listener or watchers, take your profile as well. Oh, there's Mel Richards. So, hey. Um, and so we want to hear from you as well. But if you're a first time viewer, then we also want to take your questions. And if it's not related to profiles, that's okay as well. So just want to put that out there. But we want to truthfully be able to help you and be able to grow. And if you're struggling with a part of your profile, please share that in the comments. Let us know and let us know how we can help you. But
Yeah. So,
the
I think
audience is just on. I mean, they're just on par tonight. I'm
driving Miss
just
Daisy.
saying.
Yeah. I mean, there might not be a Daisy to drive somewhere in there, but he's doing something. So we're here to cheer him on while he is, not here with us physically. Um, Remember, he's in the future, so he's checking out the things that we don't know about yet. Uh, so, with regard to the LinkedIn profile, I'll just bring it back to that for a second and just reiterate what we started talking about with uh, the banner and the missed opportunities with the profile picture. So, real quick with the banner, we've talked about this before. We think of this as like your billboard. So it's not something that people can see in all its glory before they get to your profile, but once they are there, once they land there, you've come up in somebody's feed, they've seen you in a comment, you come up as a suggested person to connect with or check out, that they find you in search, wherever they are coming across you, and they is a generic universal they, just like the universal we. Uh, People have landed there, and that is your first opportunity to capture their attention, because often people don't stick around. They get in, they get out, they grab the information that they can, they see if anything jumps out at them or is worth them looking further. And so it's a misstep if you don't have anything in your banner. It is the first opportunity for people to get to know more about who you are, what you do, how you can help, or something you want them to know about you. It's an opportunity to personalize your journey on LinkedIn, and create that cohesive, consistent, guided experience for people. So I do think Melanie's correct. It's a misstep if you don't have anything there, or it's a misstep if it's like very generic and like you just put something there to put something there. So maybe worth going back in and refining it a little bit more to more clearly, effectively speak to who you are, what you do, how you can help, why people should care. Doesn't have to hit all those checkpoints, but somewhere in that sphere. Then the profile picture, I think it's a misstep if it's more than 2 years old. Let's be honest. Like, we age, folks. Um, I might not, but like I don't know. The other day I got called ma'am, so clearly I'm aging externally more than I think I am. It was embarrassing because inside I still feel like I'm like when I'm driving, especially, still feel like a 20-year-old that's going to get pulled over for like speeding or, not being careful enough. But then I go to pump gas and I get called ma'am by the gas station attendant, and I'm like, well, clearly I'm not as young as I feel. Uh,
Did you
so,
get called ma'am in New Jersey or in
oh yeah.
Seattle pumping gas? Oh, well, I feel
Well,
like
in New
that's.
Jersey, you're not allowed to pump your own
Well,
gas.
yeah, I was gonna say, but I just feel like they're trained to be that
I
way
mean,
when
it
I
was
go to New
definitely a
Jersey.
teenager asking me, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm very much older than. Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is not, this isn't a therapy session for how young we feel, like our mental state versus our
Sometimes
physical
I feel like
state.
I'm in my 20s, and sometimes I feel like I'm in my
I
60s, and yeah.
I
Anyway,
will be honest, I don't know how my son is 30. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how like I know how it happened and I know he's 30. And then he's like, yeah, I'm making my 10-year plan. I'm like, whoa, dude, slow down. Like, that's his mother's own response, okay? It's like, dude, you need to slow down.
so tying this back to the profile
I don't
picture.
know that I've got a 2-year plan right now, okay? So chill. But
So the profile
yes,
picture. Let me bring it back to that. Okay, so the reason that I went there with that is because we may not look or present the way that we think that we look. So even if you feel like you're still that 20-year-old in your profile picture, then if if that actually doesn't represent what you look like now and people go to meet you in person, or if they, think that you're one way and you end up going on a Zoom call or something and it's not your likeness, why should, it kind of it breaks the trust a little bit. So really I would encourage, that's a long-winded way to say that. I could have just said don't break people's trust, have a more recent profile picture so that people can see a real representation of what you look like in this day and age. If you have a profile picture where you're not wearing glasses and you regularly wear glasses, maybe think about taking a picture that shows off your glasses so that people can see how you show up the majority of the time. If you have straight hair in your picture, but your hair is actually more, curly, or you wear it in braids more, well, I'm speaking from my own experience here right now, then represent yourself in a way that you show up. For me, that's going to be curly hair or braids. Straight hair was what other people wanted, not how I actually, like to show up. So that takes me to a different nuance of that, is show up the way that you feel most comfortable. Don't show up based on a version of what you think somebody else wants to see.
I will say this. So well, I did have one profile picture where my hair is up in the bun, which I honestly, this is just what I do in my daily life. Okay. 99 point literally, okay, 0.8, because when I go get my hair done and colored, and when it's not this color, um, like,
Will it be
which is
down
happening,
for your
right?
session next week?
Yes, it will be down. That's going to be an interesting thing because that requires, like, that is an actual commitment for me to go 8 hours without, like, just having it done. Like, it will be down because I am getting it done the day before. So, and that is this very specific time. So I do, though, try to plan my pictures around when the hair gets done. So, but yes, I mean there's um it will be also straightened and flattened. Yeah, there's a couple of versions. That version does show up occasionally. It doesn't show up as much as she maybe should, but there's a lot of effort that goes into straightening this head of hair on my head. And these are not topics that I thought we would be taking on tonight by any stretch of the imagination. So
I mean, but
um,
we're keeping it real with things that
we're
you
keeping
may
it.
need or want to take into consideration with your profile picture.
Yes, and
Also,
like
don't
I
the
could
profile picture.
I'm not gonna take the bun out right now because that would just scare you all because my hair is crazy right now. But I have like the head of a hair for like 3 people basically. So just FYI. I'm going at 2 o'clock on Wednesday of next week, which I actually thought my hairdresser was really, I thought that was going to be too late. Um, I won't be done until probably 6, maybe 7 by the time we're done with everything. So that for me, that's a whole work day, by the way. It is a whole work day.
Self-care.
But yes, I do. But it is also self care, and it's a time that I get to just decompress. So, but that being said, I do want to go back to the banner really quickly because if you feel overwhelmed, I see I'm going to wrap this about. If you feel overwhelmed, oh, Roy would be killing us right now. Roy's like Roy's the parent that keeps us in line. He would just be like, okay, you two rein it in. But if you have a banner and you feel overwhelmed of like, I don't know what to say, first off, you don't need to say your name because we can see your name down there. Like we'll see that. So you don't need to put your name on there. That was a trend that was kind of happening several years ago. And I know Jay had a question that I want to come back to as well. But this is where an AI tool, see, I'm wrapping it around, tying it in a bow, making it perfect. This is where an AI tool could come into handy. So, like, hey, here's my resume. What would be a good tagline that I could use? What would be a good tagline for, my LinkedIn banner? If, based on my industry, based on my, the type of people that I serve, anything along those lines. So those are that's a good tool to play around with, seeing what other people have. So if you're a software engineer, typing in software engineer, you're going to find a lot of people don't have them. So that's the other point I want to make. That's how you stand out. So if you look at, say, 20 profiles and I don't know, we'll say 15 don't have a banner, who do you think they're going to go to and stay on longer? From a visual perspective, we gravitate towards those things. We gravitate towards pictures. We gravitate towards something that makes that person. We're going to go to the person, we're going to stay on the person that has a complete profile over that one that doesn't. We're going to skim through that and we might be missing some information. So don't feel scared or intimidated to create a banner. LinkedIn's got or LinkedIn, Canva has a lot of just great resources that you can use, a lot of them free. It already has a measured out template so you can play. And if you have a favorite, I've had clients that have been like, I really like, I am not a graphic designer by trade, so sometimes I do kind of laugh when my clients are like, I really like the shade of blue, and I'm like, girl, you're getting like blue. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I was like, oh, I'll play around with it, but yeah. So sometimes they get specific or they forget that I'm like, no, I'm not a graphic designer. I create banners for my clients because I just like having a little creative outlet. So that's the reason I do it.
I
But
don't
not
always
because I
create banners for my clients, but when I do, I go down that perfectionist rabbit hole of making sure the color blue is just right.
yes.
I do have a
Sometimes
background in graphic design.
You do. Like, yes, she definitely does. I do not. Like, this is just kind of like, oh, that looks fun. Let me try that. But also like sometimes I won't. Like I have one client who has a very well established event and marketing service in New Jersey actually. And she already has a banner and we talked about some of the things that she was looking to do. So for her, I said, here's what I want to see on your banner. Whoever is doing your banner, let's change it so it reflects the new direction, but also keeping with what you're doing so it doesn't sound the alarm to everybody that you might be looking to leave, in that space. So, but banners are fun. I mean, they are fun. You can have fun with them. If you don't want verbiage, try something related, but not. I'm giving all these criteria related, but not cliche to your industry. So if you're an accountant, maybe not a calculator. Let's modernize it a little bit. Like a screen of a spreadsheet probably is not going to be too exciting. So, so try not to be too cliche. Um, if you're using a generic image, but also if
Yeah.
you do use a generic image, try to tie it into something that makes sense.
Look, I had a client like a week or two ago. Time eludes me, so I don't remember exactly the time frame, but within the last few weeks, and she had a one of the generic LinkedIn templates for her banners, like one of the images that you can choose from, that's just there. And I asked her point blank, "Why do you like this image? It's very generic." And she told me she liked the vibrancy of the colors and what they represented. And I said, "Okay, I hear you on that. I can appreciate that you have a reason why you chose it. You didn't just blindly choose it or like say I'm just going to pick this one just for the hell of it." We saved that image, brought it into Canva, and then customized text to put on that image that tied into who she wanted to show up as, what she wanted to do more of, the job that she was looking to reflect, and made it, go from a generic banner to something that like really stood out on her profile. So you can take something from basic and elevate it based on what you want it to do. And you can use Canva to do that. You don't need you don't need a paid one to do it. You could use the free one. Um, and like Mel said, you have so many free templates at your disposal there, and the free images too that you don't have to pay for. Just drag and drop. Use one of the templates, drag your images in, add some text, or don't. But yeah, we could
Honestly,
really
you
talk
could
about
just
these two areas of the profile for
Yeah, I
forever.
mean, honestly, the banner, you could just use a basic color, pick your favorite color, put some text on it. It doesn't have to be this, like if you look at our banner, I mean, my banner right now is pretty simple. I got to make some changes to it because I think there's font on mine that's too small when you look at it from a mobile. I haven't really looked at it too much, but I'm guessing it does because it's too skinny of a font. So obviously I should have looked at it, um, but I didn't. And then every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I bet that looks skinny on the mobile. So um, I actually should look at it. But that being said, I think that we've touched on the banner, we've touched on the photo. Show up, show us who you are. Give us and this is also an opportunity to interject in the banner a little personality. This is where you can give us a little personality and not be I would not. I think the line of inserting some personality with the photo, you have to watch that a little bit because again, the photo needs to be very, in my opinion, very kind of static, not a lot happening in the background, or if there's if it's too much of a wide shot, we can't focus on you. So I think it has to be very kind of centered, not cutting people's shoulders off like at the side where you can still see like who are those people next to that person. We'll want the focus on you, and I know that that's a hard thing for a lot of people to like, oh, I don't want the attention on me, so I'm going to put a photo of three other people with me, and then we sit there and go, we don't know who you are, John. um, which one are you? Yeah, so definitely from that standpoint. Where else going? There's so many places we can go with that. So I do know that Jay had a question earlier. He asked if LinkedIn was making any changes or updates, and honestly, the first response to that Jay I had was yes, and that was all I was going to say. um,
Yeah.
yes, they um, thank you for supporting us in my lack
In our
of
quirkiness.
in our
Uh,
quirkiness. But that and the reason I say just yes because yes they are always doing something. Here's the kicker: we just never know what it is or when it's going to happen.
and also, things don't roll out at the same time to everybody. Happy to report that I finally can see my comment impressions, which I think got rolled out like a few weeks ago, if not a month ago. Uh, so, yeah, give me Give me a second because I don't know why my phone is ringing right now.
Well, and I would also say too, like that same day that Shell got hers. I mean, look at she's even got a little cheerleader image there. Seriously, but when Shell got hers, my friend Bobby Umar also had. He hadn't had that either, and so the day that Shell told me, we were talking about it in LinkedIn Mastery, which happens on Tuesdays on Clubhouse. He messaged me that night and was like, "Oh, I finally got it." And it was like, well, that's, we had to speak it to the LinkedIn gods. And then Shell told me that she got hers. So that was like 2 weeks ago that I think about 2 weeks ago that both her and Bobby had gotten it. So I think from that perspective of, when the changes do happen, sometimes they're very subtle. There's things that we don't, probably even pay attention to. Like, for example, one recent change is having the option, you have 5 options now for a LinkedIn poll. I sarcastically said, thank you, LinkedIn. It's, thank you for giving us something we never asked for. Ironically, though, in my sarcasm, I actually ended up using it in a poll soon after that. So that is, that's like a very small, minute change, is having, 5 options versus 4. How big of an impact is that? I think, sometimes you can give people too many choices. And so sometimes it's better to, just have what we had. There's probably a lot of other things I'd like to see change. That was not on my wish list, but thank you, LinkedIn. So that's a small change that had happened. And again, out of the blue, out of nowhere, Lanier Johnston does a great job kind of keeping track of new changes. Of course, Kevin B. Turner also does a great job of reporting. I think he does it weekly of all the changes that are happening in that. So that's the other area there. So thanks. Glad to have you back, Shell. And Sandra mentioned she did use AI to improve her about section. It didn't work out very well. So yes, so it does. If you are going to use, and here's what I would ask you, Sandra, is did you use LinkedIn's AI or did you use like ChatGPT or Gemini? Because I do not recommend using any of LinkedIn's AI tools, and their tools are they're very behind in what's happening in the AI space right now. They're very basic. They don't hit the mark on they don't hit the mark on many things. So that's one of the things that I think you have to be able to um, kind of know, like, is there a better tool over another? I think there's more preferences than anything, but also being very specific in and being able to just okay, so she used ChatGPT. So you want to be kind of very specific in terms of that. Give it a little bit of a backstory. Give it some information to get to know you. ChatGPT does, and even all of these has to catch up with you. So it needs to start to get to know you and be able to understand really who you are and kind of like what your take is on certain things. What's the style that you want to speak in? Is it more casual? Obviously, I'm sarcastic, so I have a sarcastic sense of humor, which sometimes ChatGPT can take it in a really different way. So all those things you want to take into. Shell, jump in here anytime.
Yeah. So when I last left you guys, or before I popped back in, I was talking about the impressions and being able to see them. So that was definitely a change for me. Um, I guess I'll jump to Sandra and ChatGPT. I'm curious, and maybe like you could tell us a little bit more in the comments. Like, how did you prompt ChatGPT to help you rewrite your about section? So I can tell you, I use Gemini, which That's not what I'm telling you because you guys already know that. But I used Gemini today to update my about section a little bit. And that was based on, again, I was playing around with Lewis Butterfield's prompt for how to create more aligned related content. And then I took that same prompt, and after it pulled out all the nuances about my ideal audience and who I wanted to be speaking directly to, I literally left that in the thread in Gemini, and then I said, please use this information combined with my existing LinkedIn about section, and then I pasted that in there and identify any gaps and make sure it still feels aligned to my target audience. And it literally based on my updated ideal client avatar and my existing client, about section, and knowing that we had just redone my LinkedIn tagline on my banner, updated my headline a little bit, and I've been building this thread for a while now. So it's already, like Melanie said, building up the information about me. I'm not restarting the conversation every single time, but like I'm using that information that I already had, and it's taking my existing words. It's not creating anything out of thin air to improve upon what was already there. So I'm just curious how you're using ChatGPT, because they effectively do the same things or very similar, whether you're using Gemini or ChatGPT or any other AI tool besides LinkedIn's, doesn't matter. Just make sure that you're really clear and concise, like Jay said, in how you prompt it. Because AI can really help you amplify your voice and your impact. I just want to make sure too that like it's not pulling from the interwebs. Like feed it your sources. Tell it what information to draw from. So that's a little bit more about like how you can use AI to improve your about section specifically. But you could do. I used it for I not the first time I've used AI for my headline, my tagline, uh, different other areas of my profile. You can really, but it all starts from my words. So it's not like it's not like it's not me. It's still very, very much me, including that like the little Ghibli thing that I had when I turned off the screen here. That guy or girl with the pom poms, right? Like that came out of my Funko creation and then took it a step further. But like that's all based on AI prompting. So use that to your benefit. I'm not saying you need to make your own avatar or Ghibli, but or Funko or action figure, but like use the prompts effectively to get the result that you're looking for. Um,
And one of the
yeah,
things she mentioned that you mentioned, Sandra, that you told it the field that you're wanting to get into. What I'm gonna guess is it was probably and not having, and I'm not looking at anything right now, but my guess is that it was leaning into that aspect of it, not so much about who you are. Like maybe more about like that field, maybe more structured. This is just my guess from not obviously reading that or seeing it. And so without the, and this is where I would say we have to be careful because we've talked a lot about AI, and I think we'll probably be talking a lot about AI in the coming weeks as well. But knowing when using it ethically, but also using it authentically is really important. And so one of the things that you can get caught up in doing is making people, or so I get a lot of people come to me obviously as a career coach, resume writer. Well, I can have ChatGPT write my resume. Absolutely you can, but what information are you giving it? Most likely you're going to give them your old resume, right? And it's not understanding that in order to use these tools, you've got to give it some additional context. You've got to give it that personality, and you've got to like layer in, and the prompts is really where the time does come into play. But once you have like certain prompts and things like that, You can save them, put them in a document. So like if, hey, these are my LinkedIn profile prompts, and maybe I'll change it based on some new things that are happening, and this is what some things I want to add. How do we incorporate this? Things like that. So you can save it as a document. So there's some work on the front end that has to go into it. And that's where people kind of, I think, get misguided about like, yeah, let me put in, not that you did this, Sandra, but like, let me put in, you know, this basic information. Well, it's basing it on that basic information. So it's not understanding where you want to go. And you have to give it that direction. So how hard is it to use LinkedIn in other languages? So I think the other language, I don't know if I know the answer. Yeah, some connections do have it. Probably they have it. It's probably a setting, if I remember. It's under your security settings, if I remember correctly, where English or your preferred language is. And my guess is that the translation is probably probably the same level of like Facebook meta translation. If you, I mean, I have a lot of connections obviously in Honduras, and so sometimes they'll put things on my Facebook post or something like that, and they speak Spanish. And if you hit the translate button, the translation is not, it's not like complete English per se, grammar wise. There's always a little bit of, there also may be, depending on the base language, nuances, things like that it doesn't necessarily pick up. But if I remember right, yeah, I think it's under your securities and privacy.
It is in the settings and privacy.
Um,
And you could get there even faster if you go to that like little me bubble on the top right of your profile and you click the drop down. Under the account, like you've got premium features, settings and privacy, help, and then language. And if you click on language, you can change the main language that your profile exists in. And it does tell you right below there, you could switch it back at any time. So that's where I would go first and foremost. I'm not sure if you also mean like how do you change it to be accessible in multiple languages. And I do think that that was something at one time, but I have not played around with how to access that lately. So I'll see if it still exists and let you know. I don't know if that's where you were going with it, but I do remember that that used to still be a thing.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know too much about that in that space, so that's something I would have to like investigate a little bit. But I'm gonna guess that from a translation standpoint, it's probably pretty basic. There's probably a lot of room of it, for room for translation. When it, from that standpoint. So. Um, let's see where we've got. So it's 6:49, almost 7 o'clock. We've really only touched on the banner. We could have just called this the banner. Let's talk about your banner. That's all we could talked about.
Oh, there is another like new, I don't know if I would call it a feature, but a new thing that I'm noticing on I'm mostly seeing it on like my phone. Um, it does exist on like desktop as well a little bit, but has anybody else noticed that when they're scrolling, because video is like a really big thing still here, so like when you're scrolling through, and of course it's becoming more like TikToky and Instagrammy, like with the way that the videos show up, but like now they're giving you like suggested chunks of videos in the middle of your scrolling.
I did notice that this
and
week.
and it's got specific topics to them. If you scroll along the top, like first it's got the suggested one, and then it'll have other topic bubbles, and you can keep switching along them to get more directed content coming your way. But also below some of those topics, it says add your own video to this topic. And so I think I haven't taken advantage of that yet, but I am now seeing that you can add your own video directly to that topic. So like that might be another targeted way for people to get their content out there. If you're doing video.
That's interesting. I only saw it. I mean, obviously, I have the attention span sometimes of of a squirrel. And so like in between classes and things like that, I'd kind of scroll through LinkedIn or coffee breaks, whatever.
Like even
Yeah,
even
I've
here,
seen
if you guys see it, it says add to this trend. And it's like specifically to that, and that's specifically under the topic unspoken corporate rules I've learned. Like, so as they pop up, like you can keep adding more things to like popular topics. Now, I would say please do it if it's aligned with that topic. Don't just add stuff willy nilly. But yeah, that's a newer thing that I'm seeing as well within the last week or so.
I think it's absolutely 100% perfect. And I mean, here's what I'll say: if video is your thing, and this is a great, I mean, obviously LinkedIn is telling us we need to lean into video. It may not be your thing, and that's okay. Lean into what works for you and your audience, or how you want to attract your audience. So if you're a job seeker, video may not be the thing to do. I mean, it may just not be, and that's okay. Like you don't have to necessarily, just because something people talk like, oh, you've got to do video, you got to do video. I do think there's I do harp on myself for not doing as much video. It's not necessarily my thing, but I do know that it is, it is important to my business. I mean, it is. It is another way for me to attract potential clients, talk about it, things like that. So there's reasons I continue to push that onto myself, but that does not mean that it's the right thing for you. You have to do that. It is a hot trend right now on LinkedIn. But again, there's certain things that will outperform other things. And other people could have massive success doing something that, somebody stopped doing. I mean, there's people that will tell you, like, there's a lot of people that will say, oh, I don't do a LinkedIn newsletter, it's not worth my time. Well, I've built up an audience doing it. And it's not, I have built that audience up. I have invested my time in it. There's residual rewards for me doing it, from an SEO standpoint, things like that. So while that may not be for somebody else, for me it does make sense, because I think I'm almost to 7,500 subscribers. I don't know. I'll have to check. I looked at it today because I was just seeing how that was growing. So, but yeah, so that's where we're at. So 6:54. We literally talked about the banner in your photo. That's so well.
And new
And
features.
new features we did add. So thank you, Jay, for that question, and keeping us on track. So we're off next week. I don't even know what the calendar looks like after that. So we are definitely off next week. I'm going to be in DC on this time. Hopefully by this time I'll be headed home. So I may see my son though. So see if he can spare some time for his mother. So yeah. So closing thoughts, Shell. Kind of like, what are we talking about?
Be very clear and concise in your messaging and your prompts. And if I don't tell you about this one thing, it'll bug me, because I do it every single time we close out a room. If you have not already done so, I know it's a little different than when we were doing the audio rooms, but please take a moment to look around the comments, see who else was interested in participating in this chat today. Go back to the event page, look at who else was interested in attending or cared about the topic. This is your opportunity to see if there's other places to connect, relationships to build. You never know. We're all here for the same reason of becoming a LinkedIn rockstar. So there's conversations and opportunities to be had, folks. So I know I used to say, look up, look down, look left, look right. You can't really do that here, because then you'd be looking, I don't know. But take a moment, look through the chat, connect with people if it feels aligned for you, and let's see where these conversations lead. Also, if you enjoyed this conversation tonight, we'd love for you to chat about it in the comments. or better yet, take a screenshot and post about it and tag us in it. But if that feels a little bit too far, do what feels right for you. You could also share your feedback with us in the LinkedIn 101 chat or message us privately. We love to know what you're loving. And we also like to know what other topics we can cover, what other questions you need answered, what are the things that you are struggling with, and even the things that you've taken action on to try for yourself. We love to know what worked, what didn't, and what you want to do more of in the future. So, yeah, thank you for being here. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Same LinkedIn time, same LinkedIn channel, different event page. So stay tuned for that.
See you guys. Hope everyone has a great upcoming weekend wherever you are.